When I first found out that the new Need for Speed game was going to have FMV cutscenes, I was elated. Those cutscenes had been the glue that held the games together for so many years, and while there have definitely been great Need for Speed games without them, I've always had the most fun with the ones involving a dumb story. But 2015's Need for Speed didn't deliver what I wanted from those cutscenes, or really any other part of the Need for Speed experience. So, today I'm going to go back and look at the game that I remember having the most fun, most absurd story of any Need for Speed game, the original Most Wanted. Now, this is a Need for Speed game through and through. There's a lot of cop chases, there's a lot of races, there's a lot of that sort of stuff, but the biggest problem is honestly that there is way too much actual gameplay with very little payoff in the way of the silly, over-the-top cutscenes that really make this game great. As you work your way up the game's blacklist, you'll have to complete a number of tasks that include races and challenges in order to challenge the next big-name racer. And that's pretty much the whole game for its entire 20-hour runtime. That's right, 20 hours for the story mode of a racing game. Now, the end goal of the game is to beat its big villain in Razor Callahan, who's one of the most over-the-top, absurd villains I've ever seen in a racing game. And the acting from him in the FMV cutscenes is that so bad it's good level of quality. But no one else ever gets that level of attention. While there might be 15 racers on the game's blacklist, it really only pays attention to one. Now, for each person on that list, you have to complete a certain number of races, a certain number of challenges, and acquire a specific bounty. After you do all that, you can challenge the blacklist member and move on to the next. Now, the problem is that hardly any of the people on this blacklist are ever developed in any way that makes them more than just checkboxes. There's some pictures of them, and that's pretty much it. Everything is building up to your final race, and the game doesn't feel the need to elaborate on anything else. Most of the game just feels like that series of races. It's an absolute grind that gets worse and worse as you progress. The FMV sequences are definitely the highlight of the whole production, but there are far too few of them that only pop up rarely through the game's enormously long 20 hours. To be fair, I've put way more time into other racing games, but the problem with Most Wanted at this point is that it feels dated. It has all the charm in the world, so much more than just about any racing game today, and the way it is so firmly rooted in the early to mid-2000s is a fantastic snapshot of a time and place and culture. But mechanically, the game does not hold up. Arcade racers have come a long way in the last decade, and while a lot of Most Wanted's mechanics were great for the time, they feel like very basic prototype versions of what can be found in modern games. But even that I could get past and just enjoy the so bad they're good FMV cutscenes, but the game feels so drawn out and unnecessarily padded with extra content that getting through it feels like an absolute chore. Every Monday I look at a game that's at least 10 years old and see if it's held up today, if it's still worth playing now. If you like that idea, be sure to subscribe so you can see the latest videos. If you like this video in particular, be sure to hit that like button, and thanks for watching.